Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's council meeting. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick minute. I don't know if anybody heard there was an election last night. I wanted to first of all say that I'm proud to live in a country where the results of an election are not being questioned by any of the parties. I think that's something to be, unfortunately, in this world we should be proud of, that the election results are not being challenged. I want to thank all the candidates. We all know that running for elected office is not for the faint of heart, so we want to thank everybody who put their name forward and congratulate Scott Aitchison on his win last night. We all know Scott and know that he will do his very best representing the people of Parry Sound and Muskoka. So congratulations to him, and I want to thank and congratulate, of course, Prime Minister Carney on his win. So I didn't think we could just dive right in without acknowledging, especially our local MP. So thank you to all who participated in democracy. So with that, this afternoon, I've got to, is moved by Councillor Hunter and second by Councillor Varney. Be it resolved that the council agenda as presented on April 29, 2025 be approved as circulated. All in favor? Okay. Oh, and that carries. Thank you. Councillor, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I'll be declaring on the second public meeting and the bylaw for the same, or Gold Gut.
Okay, thank you. And anybody else? Okay, and I will be declaring on the Mirsky application today for personal reasons. Okay, with that, I'll go over to Councillor Jorgensen for our land acknowledgement statement.
Thank you, Your Worship. We would like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the First Peoples who, for thousands of years before us, were and are still the keepers and caretakers of this land where we now live and work, and in particular, the Chippewas of Rama, Wata Mohawk First Nations, and the Moon River Métis. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. We recognize all the generations of Indigenous people and their historic connection to this place, and we are grateful for the opportunity to gather here at this time.
Okay, thank you for that. This afternoon, I should note that Councillor Cairns was unable to join us today. This afternoon, there are two public meetings scheduled for two zoning bylaw amendments, application number ZA02-2025 for Mirsky and application number ZA12-2025 for Gold Gut. The Planning Act requires that a public meeting be held before council decides to pass a zoning bylaw amendment. The public meeting serves two purposes. First, to present to council and the public the details and background of the proposal, and second, to receive comments from the public and agencies before a council decision is made. I will briefly summarize the procedure to be utilized for the public meeting. The Manager of Planning Services, Adam Ager, will advise council as to when, how, and to whom notice of the public meeting was circulated. Staff will then advise of the purpose and effect of the proposed zoning amendment and provide any additional information that is relevant to the application. Staff will further summarize any correspondence on file. From there, the applicant will be requested to make a presentation, followed by questions or presentations from the public, either in favor or against the proposal. Council will then have the opportunity to question the applicant, staff, or anyone giving presentations. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment will then be considered by council later this afternoon. If no one from the public in the council chambers would like to request notification, if anyone from the public in the council chambers would like to request notification of the decision of any application, please complete the form provided on the table at the back. I will now ask the Manager of Planning Services to advise how, when, and to whom notice of the public meetings were circulated.
Thank you, Your Worship. Notice of the public meetings concerning the proposed zoning bylaw amendments were sent by first-class mail to the respective owners and assessed persons within 120 meters, that's 400 feet, of the properties subject to the proposed bylaw and emailed to applicable agencies. Included within the notices was an explanation of the purpose and effect of the proposal, a site plan, and a key map showing the location of the property in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, Chapter P13.
It is important to note that should council pass any bylaws this afternoon, there is a 20-day appeal period, during which time the applicant, the municipality, and certain public bodies, as defined by the Planning Act, may appeal the decision of council. During this appeal period, no building permit may be issued or other work commenced. Also, in the event there is an appeal, and in order to be kept advised of a possible Ontario Land Tribunal hearing, members of the public must request and be sent a copy of council's decision on the application. Okay, and now I'm going to throw it over to Deputy Mayor Jorgensen. I'm just going to excuse myself, so just give me a second. Great, thank you.
Okay, I now declare this portion of the meeting to be a public meeting to deal with application number ZA02-2025 for Mirsky. I will now ask the Manager of Planning Services to please summarize the purpose and effect of the proposed bylaw and provide any additional information and correspondence relevant to the application.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Jorgensen. Oh, I lost mine. There we go. The subject property is located on Miller Island on Lake Muskoka. The property is designated waterfront area in the official plan and is zoned residential waterfront RW6B. As previously mentioned, the property located on the southwest side of Miller Island and fronts onto a channel between Miller Island and Taylor Island. The subject lands are currently developed with a detached dwelling, 2 accessory storage structures, a 2-story boathouse, and a dock. The primary dock also contains a smaller docking slip on its eastern side for personal watercraft, which is intended to be removed. The property slopes downwards from the water with more significant sloping behind the existing boathouse. The shoreline area of the property of this land is not developed and is well vegetated with mature trees. The existing boathouse is currently developed on the northwestern portion of the shoreline and is located within a natural cove that slopes inwards, while the existing dock is located in the central shoreline area. The zoning bylaw amendment application that's before you this afternoon was submitted in order to permit the construction of an addition to an existing 2-story boathouse. The addition, which consists of a dock and a 1-story boat port with an unenclosed rooftop sun deck. So on screen here is the site plan. The orange rectangle is the existing 2-story boathouse. The location of the addition is here in pink, and that's the area that includes both the dock and the 1-story boat port. And as you heard earlier in the description, the other dock is over here in this area. So two sort of separate shoreline activity areas there. The proposed development requires the following relief from the zoning bylaw, and that's to permit a maximum shoreline development area of 268 square meters, where 232 square meters is permitted, representing a difference of 36 square meters, and to permit a maximum shoreline development width of 26.7 meters, where 23 meters is permitted, representing a difference of 3.7 meters. And for that measurement, you take the width of the 2 structures, so the proposed addition and the existing boathouse, plus the width of this existing dock there as well. And as we had heard, although it's not shown on this site plan, there is a small extension on this dock for personal watercraft, which is to be removed, and you'll see that in site photos later on in the presentation. As detailed in the staff report, the property is currently defined by these 2 separate shoreline activity areas. The proposal includes the addition of that dock and attached boat port within the existing cove area. As you can kind of see there, the land does turn in, and this addition will be located in that tucked away portion, not only to aid with visual impact in the shoreline, but also to help with boat traffic between the channel. It's also worth mentioning this is not within an identified narrow water body. In addition to that, staff are recommending the inclusion of a property detail schedule, that's P94 in the amending zoning bylaw, that would restrict the location of the boat port and docking footprint to where it's being proposed beside the existing boathouse. This will ensure that the requested relief would permit the development that's being proposed relative to other forms of shoreline development, and that it may not be considered appropriate based on their visual characteristics and impacts along the shoreline. So really just what that means is with the addition of that property detail schedule, we are allowing for an increase of shoreline development, but it's really buttoned down to that pink rectangle, and it doesn't then grant them rights if they choose not to build that boat port to allow for other types of shoreline development on the property. Actually, I'll just cover comments first. The chief building official, no objections, and indicated that a building permit is required and possibly a work permit from the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. The manager of revenue, infrastructure technologist, deputy fire chief, and the district of Muskoka all provided a comment of no objection. In addition, a letter of support has been received from a neighboring property owner to the north, which was circulated for council's information. Now moving on to site photos. As you can see, these photos were taken when the ice was still in and it was safe to walk on. So this is then looking east into the subject property. You can see the boathouse on the left-hand side. The addition would be on the right-hand side of that boathouse, and then the other existing dock on the right-hand side of your screen. You can also see here the property is well vegetated and screened from the water. And then, as previously mentioned, that personal watercraft lift and dock finger is then just on the right-hand side of this. So those are to be removed as part of this proposal. This is then another vantage point of the existing boathouse. And again, the addition that's taking place would actually be where the open water is on the right-hand side of the boathouse. This is then just another vantage point looking along the frontage of Miller Island. And then a close-up into the subject lands again, just showing the mature tree cover up into the property. And you can also see the lot identification public meeting poster, pink on the trees. And then this is looking across the waterway to the other island. It's staff's opinion that the application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, conforms to the official plan, and is appropriate and represents good planning. As a result, staff are recommending that the application be approved, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you, Mr. Hager. I will now ask for any comments by the applicants or their agent. Please come forward to the podium. We'll need your full name and mailing address, and followed by your comments.
Yeah, good afternoon, Deputy Mayor, Council, Lanny Dennis Planning, Box 254, Novar, Ontario, P0A1R0. Represent the owners. Mr. Jack Lawrence is here this afternoon as well. He's the designer for the project. So I had an opportunity, obviously, to listen to the planner's presentation and review the thorough and comprehensive planning report that was pulled together by staff and concur with the recommendation to approve the application. I'll maybe just briefly and quickly go through a lot of the points I think that have already been addressed, but I think it's noteworthy to review a couple more of those. The proposal itself is located in a recessed cove, which sort of separates the mainland from the main boating channel, and so it reduces the visual impact. And as mentioned by the planning department, the idea was with they're attaching a property detail sketch. So if we're constructing a boat port, we have to construct a boat port, and it has to be at that specific location on the property. The shoreline is naturally vegetated, I think, as you've seen by the photos. The proposed covered boat slip is, as noted in, I think it was sort of pink color on the drawing. It's on the inward side of the boathouse, so it's away from the northerly property owner and closer to the owner's cottage. The location there is also separated and buffered quite nicely. There's a prominent sort of point of land where the existing dock is located, which separates it from and buffers it well from the property to the south. The shoreline frontage itself is extremely large. It's got 117 meters of contour frontage, and I think it's 104 meters of straight line frontage. So I think there's more than ample frontage to accommodate an additional 12 feet of width on the property. There's no impact with respect to the natural heritage features. As noted, it's not located on a narrow water body. It's attached to the existing boathouse that's already there. It'll be, so it contains it within one structure. I suppose if a boat could be parked on that one side already. The additional 12 feet actually is, could almost be considered 10 feet wide because there's a sort of a 2-foot wide dock already along the side of the existing boathouse. And outside of those standards that are mentioned, it complies with all of the performance standards with the applicable zone. It's fairly low profile, innocuous structure. It's a boat port, so it's got open sides. Basically, it's supported by 3 posts, and without having a roof or peak roof on it, going with the flat roof, it sort of brings down the built form as you look from the shoreline. The lot coverage is well under what would be acceptable on this property as well, so the property's not overbuilt. And I would respectfully request council approve the application. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dennis. And moving on, are there any questions or comments from members of the public attending in person? Apparently not. Council, are there any questions or comments to the applicants, the manager of planning services, or any persons who have made presentations? Councillor Morphy.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. Yeah, I just have a question about the planning. Why, if they have 104 meters and you're allowed 25% shoreline development, why are they only allowed 23? Is that just a standard number? Because to me, it kind of conforms to the 25% rule.
Thank you, Worship. Through you to Councillor Morphy. So it's just a standard number. After you reach a certain amount of frontage, there's a maximum amount of shoreline development area. So in this case, the lot has such a great frontage that in theory, if you used the 25% rule, they would allow for that number. But the way the zoning bylaw is written, it's just if you have this much frontage, this is the absolute maximum. If you have this much frontage, this is the absolute maximum.
Thank you for that. Anything further, council? Seeing none. Mr. Ager, are there any recommendations or comments to bring to the attention of council as a result of these proceedings?
Deputy Mayor, staff would recommend that the application be approved.
Thank you. The bylaw will be considered by council later this afternoon, and if there are no further questions, then I declare this public meeting to be concluded. And we'll pass the chair again. We'll just take a brief recess. Oh, maybe we won't. Thank you.
Okay. Now I can see what I'm reading. Before I was vanity. Okay, public meeting number 2. I now declare this portion of the meeting to be a public meeting to deal with application number ZA 12-2025 for Gold Gut. I will now ask the Manager of Planning Services to please summarize the purpose and effect of the proposed bylaw and provide any additional information and correspondence relevant to the application. Mr. Egger?
Thank you, Your Worship. The subject property is also located on Lake Muskoka. It's accessed from Gateway Drive and it's located within the fully serviced urban area. The property is designated urban shoreline residential within the urban center in the town of Gravenhurst official plan and is zoned residential 2. Existing structures on the property include the dwelling. What's noted on the applicant's plan is a cabana, but a gazebo, which is in the bottom left-hand corner in the waterfront area there. A shed and a dock with temporary boat shelter. There is also a sports court located behind the dwelling. The existing shed and dock are to be removed, so you'll see on the site plan later, but this dock is proposed to be removed. The property fronts onto the sandy bay of Lake Muskoka and slopes up moderately from the water to the road. Immediately adjacent to water is a lawn, which transitions to landscape stairs, plantings leading to a large dwelling. Mature trees along the shoreline are present as well and do assist in screening the dwelling from the water. So the application was submitted in order to permit the redevelopment of the shoreline. More specifically, the proposed amending zoning bylaw would have the effect of adding special provision to the existing R2 zone, which would permit the following. An increase in the maximum shoreline development area from 138 square meters to 197 square meters. Shoreline development is the cumulative footprint of all structures over the water and within 20 meters of the water, including the existing gazebo or cabana. And the proposed dock and boathouse. The existing shed within that area would be removed. So there's an existing shed here, which is to be removed. As previously mentioned, this existing dock is to be removed, but contributing to the shoreline development area is not only a proposed dock and boathouse, which is going to be located in this area, but also within 20 meters is that cabana or gazebo structure as mentioned. In addition to that, an increase in the maximum cumulative shoreline development width from 12.5 meters to 13.5 meters, with the boathouse to have a maximum width of 9.8 meters, an increase in the maximum projection into the water of a dock and boathouse from 15 meters to 20.5 meters, and I'll show some site photos that speak to water depth later in the presentation. And in addition to that, a reduction in the minimum setback from the boathouse from 6 meters to 3 meters for the extension of the northern side lot line. So that's reducing the setback to this lot line from 6 meters to 3 meters. In support of the application, a fish habitat assessment prepared by Riverstone Environmental Solutions was submitted in support of the application. The fish habitat assessment concluded that the removal of the existing dock would be an improvement and that the implementation of the recommendations will acceptably minimize impacts. The recommendations would be implemented through an amending site plan agreement. In addition to that, a planning justification report was prepared by Planscape Inc. and was also submitted in support of the application. As detailed in the staff report, the existing shoreline development on the property consists of the dock, which is to be removed, and the shed, which is to be removed, as well as the gazebo, for a total of 167 square meters existing, where 138 is permitted. However, the gazebo at 32 square meters with deck 13 square meters was built without the benefit of a building permit. The shoreline development consists of the gazebo plus the new dock and boathouse that will now result in a cumulative footprint of 197 square meters. So that's going up from the existing 167 square meters to 197 square meters, so an increase of 30 square meters over what is currently there. The applicant's agent has stated that the proposed shoreline development is in character with the immediate neighborhood and reflects an urban scale. The subject property is the largest shoreline lot in the immediate area, and looking at aerial photography to the north of this, it would appear all but one of the lots on the same street have a relatively large dock and or boathouse in relation to the amount of frontage present. It should also be noted that the additional allowance will be shown on a property detail schedule, similar to the application that we heard earlier this afternoon, and will only be permitted in the location and configuration that have been applied for. Therefore, removing the gazebo won't allow for further dock expansions. With respect to agency comments, the Deputy Chief Building Official noted that the gazebo or cabana as shown on screen with deck appears to have been constructed sometime between 2008 and 2018 based on aerial photographs without the benefit of a building permit. The decking and gazebo appear to be around 42.7 square meters, which does require a building permit. Therefore, a building permit does need to be applied for and obtained, and a demolition permit for the existing dock is also needed. There is also a permit for the existing dock that is inactive. Once the dock is removed, that permit can be closed. The gazebo should be addressed before any additional approvals are granted. In addition to that, the infrastructure technologist, the manager of revenue had no objections. The District of Muskoka had no objections subject to the implementation of the recommendations of the fish habitat assessment. So with respect to the Deputy Chief Building Official's comments, a building permit submission has now been received by the town's building department for that cabana structure. And then with respect to the District of Muskoka comments, the fish habitat assessment recommendations will be included as part of a required site plan agreement amendment. This is just a close-up of that site plan. Moving on now to site photos. This is looking at the dwelling from partway up the slope. Again, generally well vegetated, and there are some appearances of native plants as well as mature trees. This is then looking at the shoreline, so it's a naturally occurring sandy beach and with lawn behind it. And as part of the recommendations from the Riverstone Fish Habitat Assessment, the replantings are to occur in that lawn area, which would be addressed through the site plan agreement. This is then moving on to the gazebo and deck and steps that are built without the benefit of a permit but are requesting to be recognized as part of the application. And as previously noted, a permit has now been received for that structure and will be addressed by the town's building department. This is the existing dock with temporary boat port, all of which to be removed as it's located within Type 1 fish habitat confirmed by the Riverstone Environmental. The relocation of well, actually it's not a relocation, the construction of a new boathouse and dock in a differing location was seen as an improvement to the situation as it won't be located in Type 1 fish habitat. Also then you can see the gazebo to the right-hand side of the screen. And then just for your own reference point, keep in mind this is the neighbor's boat port up in the top left-hand side of your screen, which will now be more clearly seen in this photograph. So the proposed new development for the boathouse and boat port are actually going to be located between the existing dock and the neighboring boat port. As mentioned, the applicants have requested relief for a 3-meter setback to that northern lot line, which would be closer to the neighboring boat port, but within that area of mature vegetation seen on screen. Staff can appreciate it's also hard to see from this angle. This is then looking at other boathouses and boat ports within the neighboring area, again showing context and scale. The homes along Gateway Drive in this area of the town all seem to have similarly developed shoreline development areas. This is then utilizing, we were able to take those docks with permission from utilizing the neighbor's dock extension, then moving out there. This dock extends quite a distance beyond the 15 meters that would normally be allowed in the zoning bylaw, and it's due to the very shallow water depths that you can see there at the end of the dock. And then this is just looking south from that dock back towards town, and in the distance you can actually make out the condo buildings located at the wharf there, just for your reference point of where we are. So as detailed in the staff report, it's staff's opinion that the application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, conforms to the official plan, is appropriate and represents good planning. As a result, staff are recommending the application be approved, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you, Mr. Egger. The applicant's agent have a presentation that they wish to make? Okay, welcome, Mr. Sherbak.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, Council staff. My name is Stefan Sherbak, planner with Planscape Inc., 104 Kimberley Avenue in Bracebridge. As always, Mr. Egger has provided all the information, stole my thunder from my presentation. He hit all the high points. I just want to reiterate a few quick things here. So we were working with the owners. Mr. Goldgut is here in the audience today if there's any questions that I can't answer. We've read the staff report. Thank you, Adam, for all your help throughout this whole process. And as mentioned previously, it is a unique kind of waterfront area that's serviced. A lot of the development there was created through an urban plan, a subdivision way back when with a lot of smaller size lots. The one in particular, the one subject to this application, is larger in size in terms of frontage and area, which again creates a unique situation. What's being proposed today is very much in character, as shown by the photographs, with the existing scale and development within this stretch of shoreline. As mentioned earlier, Riverstone Environmental did assess the sensitive fish habitat. Their conclusion is very positive in terms of the net gain here. So removing that dock within the Type 1 fish habitat, pushing the development to furthest extent outside of this area, hence the reason why there's a variation to that side lot line so that the structure will be entirely out of the Type 1 fish habitat. With respect to the neighbor, they do have a boathouse, a boat port there, but for privacy reasons, there's going to be a peaked roof, which sort of will help separate the two properties. And more importantly, you've got a letter of support in your agenda package from that neighbor who's supportive of the proposal and reviewed everything. There are a few variations from the zoning standards are obviously required, and they're listed in the staff report. We're looking to recognize the existing gazebo, remove the shed to take away some of the existing development, a slight increase in the cumulative width of shoreline development, increase in maximum projection of a dock. In the staff report, I think it was very evident in the aerial photographs, you can sort of see the shoreline, and I think the photographs also did serve a benefit here to see that there is actually an issue with water depth, and moving the structure to the side will find the deeper water. And again, outside of the fish habitat is important. And again, that's just to ensure that the boat can be moored safely and not have to be raised by that by the lift. The boathouse is not going to contain a rooftop deck. It's going to be peaked. And as part of the fisheries review, there's obviously some recommendations for an amending site plan agreement. The applicants have no concerns with amending the site plan again, adding additional shoreline plantings in some of that grassed area, again, to achieve those net gain benefits in front of you. Planning staff provided you with a thorough and accurate review of the applicable policies. Those are the same policies that are contained in our planning justification report. And not only do we have the one letter of support from the immediately abutting neighbor, but 2 doors down, there's another letter of support. The applicants own the immediately abutting neighbor, so clearly they support their own application. So I think everybody within that area are in general support of what's going on here and what's proposed. So in conclusion, we share the same professional planning opinion as your staff, where the applicant is consistent with the provincial planning policies, and it conforms to both the district and your official plans and represents good planning. I would respectfully request your support for the application and here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did you want to add anything at all, or you? No? No. Okay, okay. You're the only member of the public here, so I thought I might. I'm saving my comment for the next one. Okay. Council, are there any questions? I've got Councillor Morphy.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you. I need some education on the floodplain, because the province came down pretty hard on us about building on flooded land. The cabana's on it, and the boathouse was on water, so I guess you can build it high enough to safely get away with it. But can you tell me where we stand right now on we're legalizing a cabana that's built on the floodplain?
Mr. Egger?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Councillor Morphy. So currently, right now, as it stands, the dock and the cabana or gazebo were built without the benefit of a building permit. However, they are permitted structures within 20 meters of the water, so those aren't structures that are intended for human habitation. So really, that's the real risk with flooded lands. So things like docks are permitted to be within flooded lands. There's others, shoreline storage buildings are also permitted to be within those flooded lands. In addition to that, too, I guess that's where I would leave those comments for now.
You have a subsequent?
Yes, thank you. So they're aware of the risk and they assume the risk. There's no risk to the town in order to allow this, right? Is that what I'm-
Mr. Egger?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Councillor Morphy. I can't speak on their behalf. Perhaps their agent could speak on their behalf about being aware of the risks associated with that. I think they're hearing it loud and clear here that the town would not be responsible for that, but just so that's abundantly clear.
Okay. Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship. I want to first indicate that I'm very much in support of this application. I'm going to shamelessly use the slimmest of segues to talk about a much larger issue that this application gave me an opportunity to do. And I appreciate the kind words that you did, Your Worship, about elected government officials, because the flip side of that is I'm not going to be kind in some of the remarks I want to make. I'll be brief. My comment to Manager Egger is that I know you are aware of Bill 5, which is a rather oddly named bill, although knowing the gentleman that proposed it. It's called Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy, unleashing. It's terrible legislation, and I'll indicate very briefly why it is so. But for one thing, it replaces the Endangered Species Act with something that is much milder. But more importantly, it reduces almost down to no value environmental assessment. For example, if in the future an environmental assessment is a condition of an approval, the developer under this act can ignore it. What the legislation says, and I think this is rather insulting to the public, is that the developer can proceed without the environmental assessment, but he can look at it later. The act says that. So the reason why I brought it up on this one here, Manager Egger, the definition of habitat there in this application here that talked about fish habitat, and I'm wondering what you know of Bill 5. If it's passed, would that protection that's provided for very well and positively by the applicant, would that protection no longer be available?
Director Halford's going to chime in here.
Nope.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you very much, Your Worship. I've just been doing the research on this omnibus bill, and so although Mr. Egger, I'm sure, is aware of it as well, but I just thought I would share. So there's no changes proposed as part of Bill 5 to fish habitat that I'm aware of, nor it's species at risk, the Species at Risk Act, Species Conservation Act, that is subject to it. So the environmental site assessment that was done as part of this application is still able to be implemented and would still be in full force and effect as per the requirements of our site plan agreement process. So the Bill 5 that Councillor Johnston's referring to has a number of changes to a number of different acts, Heritage Act, the Energy Board Act, Mining Act, those types of things, and the Environmental Assessment Act, not fish habitat.
Okay. A subsequent, Councillor Johnston? Yeah, just press your button.
Yeah, thank you, Director Halford, for that explanation. So I just want to wrap up a brief comment about the bill, and I just have a couple more comments to make. But the bill proposes to considerably reduce the environmental assessment process. And my point in saying that is that, in a remark I'm going to make in a minute from now, is that this government has just been chipping away at environmental protection for the last 5 years. There was the considerably weakening protection on wetlands, which, again, I know Director Halford understands and acknowledges how vital wetlands are to our climate. And Mr. Ford has just chipped away at it, chipped away at it, chipped away at it.
Counselor Johnston?
Yes.
I'm going to rein you in here, only because, I mean, we're here to discuss about a
I understand that.
site-specific application, and I understand, I mean, if this is part of a debate, then we should have that discussion at the bylaw stage. I'm not saying that what you're saying is not relevant, but I'm not, I guess this is the point of where we can have questions and comments for the applicant and for the, our manager. So if there's a question, happy to allow you to proceed. However, any sort of commentary or any sort of opinion or trying to sway your colleagues should be done at the bylaw stage. Counselor?
Yeah, Your Worship, I agree with you. I do. I just want to be clear that, first of all, as I said, I'm not opposed to this application. So my comments were not meant to sway my colleagues about anything. I just think that this is an issue that is so egregious, so important, that I wanted the public to know. But I will stand down. I understand what you said, and you gave me some leeway there, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Counselors, are there any other questions on the application? Okay. Seeing none? Mr. Agar, are there any recommendations or comments to bring to the attention of council as a result of these proceedings?
Your Worship, as detailed in the staff report, staff would recommend that the application be approved.
The bylaw will be considered by council very shortly this afternoon. If there are no further questions, then I declare this public meeting to be concluded. So we will go and get Councillor Jorgensen, and then we will be reading both bylaws separately. So just have the two. So just a brief minute. Okay. Welcome back. Councillor Jorgensen, I will have you read this, and I'm just going to push away from the table unless the conversation ensues, okay?
Thank you, Your Worship. Okay, we have a motion to, or moved by Councillor Johnston, seconded by Councillor Strength. Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, passed, and engrossed into the bylaw book. Bylaw number 2025-29, zoning for Mirsky on Lake Muskoka. Any discussion? Seeing none, okay, we'll call for the vote on that. And that carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now, it is moved by Councillor Morphy, second by Councillor Robinson. Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read and passed and engrossed into the bylaw book. Bylaw number 2025-30, zoning for Gold Gut, Lake Muskoka. Councillor Jorgensen, I'll give you the opportunity to move. Yeah, okay, great. Council, is there any further discussion on the application? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please vote. And that carries. Thank you. Is moved by Counselor Strang, second by Counselor Varney. Be it resolved that the minutes of the council meeting dated March 25th, 2025 be approved as circulated. All in favor? Please vote. And that carries. Thank you. It is moved by Counselor Hunter, second by Counselor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-31 to confirm the council meeting held on April 29, 2025 be passed. Please vote. And that carries. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of our meeting. So that was a pretty fast one. I don't think the next ones are going to be so quick because I think the planners have been able to get out to some of the islands. So you're getting a break today, council. So bring your snacks for the next time. Okay, so thanks very much. May I have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Jorgensen and Councillor Varney. And please vote on that. And that, I think that carries. And I didn't